Have you ever tried propagating a cutting only to have it wilt, rot at the base, or never grow roots after just a few days? Many people think that to propagate cuttings successfully, you need rooting hormone or specialized tools. But the truth is, that's not always necessary. With just 2 plastic cups you already have at home, you can create an ideal humidity environment that helps your cuttings reduce water loss, lowers the risk of wilting, and creates better conditions for root development. This is a very simple method and easy to do. Costs almost nothing and works well with many different types of plants. Hello, I'm Max. In this video, I'll guide you through each step, explain why this method works, and share important tips to help increase your chances of successful propagation. Watch until the end of the video, because missing just one small detail could completely change the results. And if you enjoy simple, practical, and easy to follow gardening tips, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss future helpful videos. And remember to share this video so it can help as many people as possible. Now, let's get started. To make this method easy to understand, I'll break it down into 6 basic steps. Step 1, prepare the materials. Before we get started, you'll need to prepare the following materials: a healthy cutting, free of pests and diseases, with a moderate diameter, taken from a healthy, actively growing parent plant. A sharp knife or a pair of pruning shears for preparing the cutting. 2 clear plastic cups, or you can cut 1 plastic bottle in half instead. Use whatever you already have available. You'll also need a rooting medium. You can use clean sand or any growing medium that is well aerated and holds moisture well, but still drains quickly. Also, prepare some clean water to moisten the rooting medium before inserting the cutting. Once you've prepared everything, we'll begin the step-by-step process of propagating cuttings using just 2 plastic cups. Step 2, prepare the cutting. For this step, keep one important thing in mind. Choose cuttings that are not too young, but not too old either. Cuttings with moderate maturity usually root better. Next, use a very sharp, clean knife or pair of pruning shears and cut the branch to a length of about 6 to 8 inches, depending on the size of the plant you want to grow. Make the cut just below a node or leaf joint. This is where new roots usually develop more quickly. Next, remove all the leaves from the cutting. Don't worry, new leaves will grow back very quickly. Reducing the number of leaves helps the cutting lose less water before it has time to develop roots. Finally, check the cutting one more time. Make sure the cut is clean. The cutting is still fresh, not crushed or damaged, and ready for the next step. If you're still watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription gives me more motivation to make better videos and help even more people. Thank you very much. All right, now that the cutting has been prepared correctly, we'll move on to the next step, preparing the rooting medium. Step 3, fill the plastic cup with the rooting medium. A suitable rooting medium helps the cutting retain the moisture it needs, while still providing enough air for new roots to develop. For this method, you can use clean sand or a loose rooting medium that drains well, while retaining a moderate amount of moisture. Before putting it into the plastic cup, moisten the rooting medium with clean water. Keep in mind, the medium should be evenly moist. It shouldn't be too dry, but it shouldn't be soaking wet either. If you squeeze it gently and water drips out, the medium is too wet. If that happens, let it drain a little before using it. Next, fill the plastic cup with a rooting medium. Don't pack it down too tightly. Simply level it and press the surface gently so the medium stays loose with enough space for air to circulate. A rooting medium that is too compact reduces the amount of oxygen around the base of the cutting, making it more difficult for roots to develop. Once the rooting medium has the proper moisture level and has been placed in the cup, we're ready to move on to the next step. Step 4. Insert the cutting into the rooting medium. Now, we'll insert the cutting into the rooting medium. This is a very important step. If you do it correctly from the beginning, the cutting will stay firmly in place, be less likely to get damaged, and have better conditions for root development. First, use a small stick or the tip of a pair of scissors to make one hole or several holes, depending on how many cuttings you're propagating. Be sure to leave a reasonable amount of space between the holes in the center of the rooting medium inside the cup. Don't push the cutting directly into the rooting medium. Doing so can scratch or crush the base of the cutting, which may affect root development. Next, gently place the base of the cutting into the hole you just made. Insert the cutting about 1 1/2 to 2.5 inches deep, or deep enough for it to stand upright without leaning. Of course, this also depends on the size of your plastic cup or plastic container. Then, gently press the rooting medium around the base. Press only enough to hold the cutting in place. Don't pack it down too tightly because new roots need space and oxygen to grow. Check it one more time. Make sure the cutting is standing straight, doesn't wobble, and that all leaves or new shoots remain completely above the surface of the rooting medium. If any leaves are touching the moist rooting medium, remove them immediately. Leaves that stay in contact with the moist medium for a long time can rot easily, creating favorable conditions for fungal diseases. Step 5. Create a mini greenhouse. After inserting the cutting, take the second plastic cup and place it upside down over the first one. Make sure the cup completely covers the cutting to maintain stable humidity inside. A high humidity environment helps the cutting reduce water loss while waiting for roots to develop. After a few days, you'll notice small water droplets forming on the inside of the cup. This is normal condensation, showing that the humidity inside is still high enough. Place the cup in a cool location with bright, indirect light and avoid direct sunlight. There's no need to open the cup every day. Only open it if the rooting medium becomes too dry or if too much water collects inside. Step 6. Care for and monitor the cutting. After creating the mini greenhouse, place the cup where it receives bright, indirect light, away from direct sunlight, and protected from rain. Check the rooting medium regularly. If it starts to dry out, add just enough water to keep it moist. Don't overwater. A rooting medium that's too wet can easily cause the base of the cutting to become waterlogged and rot. During this time, avoid moving or shaking the cup so the cutting remains stable. After a few weeks, the cutting may begin to produce new shoots or new leaves. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that roots have already formed. So continue caring for the cutting until it has truly developed roots. Step 7. Check the roots and transplant to a new pot. After about 3 to 6 weeks, check whether the cutting has developed roots. The easiest way is to gently tug on the cutting. If it holds firmly in the rooting medium and doesn't pull out easily, that's a sign that roots have started to develop. If you're using a clear plastic cup, look through the sides of the cup. When you see plenty of white roots, the cutting is ready to be transplanted into a new pot. At this point, remove the plastic cup covering the cutting. Don't move the plant into direct sunlight right away. Let it adjust to the outside environment for about 2 to 3 days in a location with bright, indirect light. Then, carefully remove the entire root ball from the cup and transplant it into the pot you've prepared. During the first week, keep the soil evenly moist and continue placing the plant in a cool location. Once the plant is growing well and begins producing new shoots, you can care for it just like any other plant. At this point, you've completed the entire propagation process using just 2 plastic cups. Important notes before we finish. I'd like to share a few important tips with you. First, don't place the cups in direct sunlight. The temperature inside can rise very quickly, causing the cutting to wilt or become damaged. Second, don't overwater. The rooting medium only needs to stay moist. If it's too wet, the base of the cutting can easily become waterlogged and rot.
The results
Third,
speak for themselves.
don't remove the top cup too soon. Keep the humidity stable until the cutting begins to develop roots. Finally, be patient. Every type of plant develops roots at a different rate. Some may take only a few weeks, while others need much more time. As long as you follow the steps correctly and provide proper care, you'll have a much better chance of success. In addition, I encourage you to prioritize simple methods like this one. They not only save money and make use of materials you already have at home, but also reduce the need for chemical rooting hormones in many situations. It's also a more environmentally friendly method and safer for you while caring for your plants. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.